Hello, hi all. Today I'm going to discuss about the Medallion architecture. Okay, so in the Databricks, Medallion architecture is very important. Okay, so why we need to use Medallion architecture? What is the necessity of learning and the real-time perspective where we will use the Medallion architecture? Okay, so the real-time process which we are doing the ETL, right? So the ETL process by using the Medallion architecture, step by step, we are doing the data structurization. Okay. So what we are doing basically is, so these are all the sources. Okay. So these are all the source systems which we have. Okay. So these sources, like example, SAP. Okay. So SAP is the another source. Okay, and ERP or ADLS or Kafka, any Azure storage, blob storage. Okay, so any streaming data sets, these are all the sources for Databricks. Okay, so what we are doing is we are doing the refination, data refination by using this all these layers step by step. Instead of making the data into a one go, okay, we are splitting. Okay, we are splitting the data and then we are processing it step by step. Okay, so why we are doing this design is basically, so if you do all the ETL transformation or if you perform entire data loading in one go, okay. So example, if any issue happened in the notebook level or a data processing, so it will be very difficult to solve the issue, and as well as we need to check where this exactly failed and which step need to be executed, okay, and wherever it failed. So that is the complexity of if you use only one notebook with all the steps. Okay. So what we are doing is instead of doing all steps in one go here, so in the bronze layer, we are doing one step, like loading the data from so the source file example, it's a CSV file. I'm loading the data into the delta table. Okay. So directly I'll do some minor massaging. Okay. So minor data part means like I'll add some user ID. Okay. So who processed this file. Okay. And if any data type change. Okay. And column adding. Okay. If any column needs to be added. So those kind of minor steps I'm doing in a raw layer. Okay. And then I will load this data into a delta table. Okay. So the delta table is very important. Okay. So it will be very useful to perform the data transformations in a incremental manner. Okay. You can perform your data loadings in a incremental manner. So by using the delta process, we load the data. Okay. So now after loading this data into the raw layer, again, we have another layer. So in this layer, what we are doing, again, I'm reading the delta from raw layer, whatever I have created, right? So that file I'm reading in the silver layer. Okay. And I'm making some aggregations and filtrations. And if I wanted to join any other delta tables, I'm going to perform in this silver layer. Okay. So silver layer is basically a semi-structured. Okay. So we will do like it's a 70% or 80% of the structurization in the silver layer. Okay. So after doing all these transformations in the silver layer, so again, we are taking this particular silver layer delta as a input for your golden layer. Okay. So golden layer again, whatever the business required, the outcome, okay, the exact structurization was okay, which contains all the necessary summarized information for business. So that particular data will store into the final delta. Okay. So this final delta, either you can store it in a delta table or either you can store it into a SQL DB. Okay, it depends on your choice. And once it loads, you can represent this data into a Power BI dashboard for the analytic perspective. Okay. So these layer by layer processing. Okay. So by using the Medallion architecture, we are processing the data. Okay. The benefit of using is, so we have the time travel. Okay. So and also we have the real time data, and there is a reusability. Okay. Example, yesterday there is a job run. Okay. So on 15th, so there is some issue. Okay. With data loading. Okay. So and there is a person reported there is no data showing in Power BI, the live data. So what you are going to do at the moment, you will quickly check the raw tables. Okay. So whether your raw delta having the latest data or not, or there is any delay, okay, from the data source side or any issue. So you can trace out that issues and you can quickly rerun this process without thinking or without checking all those things. You can simply run the process and it will generates the data for you. Okay. So that is the benefit of using the Medallion architecture with the help of delta tables. Okay. So the delta tables have always having the versions. Okay. So when once your delta table is created, example, it created on somewhere around 14th. Okay. So from 14th onwards, it will create till today, it will create 3 versions of data. Okay. In an incremental manner. That is the behavior of delta. That is a wonderful feature which provided in the delta. So other tables are not like that, but delta tables have the version history. That is the main benefit why in a real time we are using this delta tables. Okay. So I'm going to show some examples in my next session how we are going to implement the delta tables. Okay. In the Databricks layer by layer. Okay. Thank you all. Bye.